Here are the 9 contestants preparing for today's show, but only one of them can win the prize money up to £10,000. The rest of the team will leave with nothing, as round by round they are voted off as the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. Any of the 9 people in the studio here today could win up to £10,000. They don't know each other, however, if they want the prize money, they'll have to work as a team, but 8 of them will leave with nothing. As round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
I'm Barry, I'm 40 years old, and I'm a bus mechanic.
I'm Sarah, I'm 33, and I'm a flight attendant.
Hi, I'm Eddie, I'm 60, and I'm a chef.
I'm Mark, I'm 21, and I'm a college student.
Hello, I'm Seamus, I'm 66, and I'm an entertainer.
I'm Tracy, I'm 34, and I'm a bank manager.
My name is Abraham, I'm 28, and I'm an IT specialist.
I'm Nicole, I'm 23, and I'm a college student.
I'm Jeremy, I'm 35, and I'm a musician.
Now the rules: in each round you have a target of £1,000. The aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £1,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way to get to your target is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong, you'll break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say the word bank before the question is asked, the money is safe, but you'll start a new chain from scratch. Remember, at the end of the round only money that has been banked can be taken forward. In round 1 there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. And that's you, Abraham. Let's play the weakest link. First question is for £20. Start the clock. Abraham, in which sport would you score a hole-in-one?
Golf.
Correct, Nicole. In music, Paul McCartney was a member of which band?
The Beatles.
Correct, Jeremy. When responding to something funny on the internet, what does LOL stand for?
Laugh out loud.
Correct, Barry. The period of time that lasts 7 days is called a what?
Weak.
Correct, Sarah. In video games, in which decade was Sonic the Hedgehog first released?
The 90s.
Correct, Eddie. Complete the name of this British comedy series, Monty Python's Flying What?
Circus.
Correct, Mark. How many sides does a heptagon have?
7.
Correct, Seamus. What event is celebrated on the 1st of April?
April Fool's Day.
Correct, Tracy. Who played the main character in the 1997 movie Liar Liar?
Jim Carrey.
Correct, Abraham.
Bank.
Okay, you reached and banked your £1,000 target in this effortlessly easy round. That money will go through to the next round, but one of you will not. Who is already worrying you? Who do you think will fall apart in the next round? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In this impressive first round, Abraham is the strongest link, since he banked the money, despite not getting a wrong answer. Mark is statistically the weakest link. But in this early stage of the game, who will leave with nothing?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Mark.
Nicole.
Nicole.
Jeremy.
Abraham.
Seamus.
Mark.
Jeremy.
Abraham.
We have a four-way tie. Mark, Abraham, Nicole and Jeremy, 2 votes each. Barry, what do you do for a living?
I'm a bus mechanic.
How long have you been fixing buses?
I've been fixing buses for 19 years.
19 years? I bet you must find that job really exciting, don't you?
Sure, I love my job. I guess I'm interested in mechanics, and I have always been fascinated about how buses work. I knew this would be the perfect job for me.
Before you became a bus mechanic, what did you do?
Before I got the bus mechanic job, I was an apprentice in my local garage, but I did not enjoy it at all.
And why is that?
Because I didn't really get to work on the cars when I was an apprentice. I basically did cleaning most of the time, and making tea and coffee for the boss and employees. But I guess I had to start somewhere, and I now have a job that's well paid, and I enjoy.
So Barry, why Mark?
It was actually quite difficult to choose someone to vote for, because everyone got all of their questions correct, but I voted for Mark, because I think he was the most hesitant, and I generally thought that he was the worst player based on that.
Mark, so you're a college student,
Yes,
and what are you studying?
I'm currently studying English, modern studies, and history.
And what are your plans for the future?
Hopefully to get a well-paid job, get my own house, and start a relationship with someone.
So you haven't been on a date before, since you're hoping to start a relationship with someone?
No, I have not been on a date before, because I wasn't exactly popular in my school. And I didn't really talk to anyone. I basically just spent most of the time by myself.
I see. And why do you think that you have a better chance finding a date now?
Because I get along with everyone in the college a lot better than high school, and I'm working on my confidence to make new friends, and hopefully I will find someone who shares the same interests as me.
Good luck with that. So Mark, why Jeremy?
Because he was just as hesitant as I was, and the question that he got was pretty easy, and he should definitely answered it quicker.
And the question that you took a while to answer must have been extremely difficult, right?
Well, it was certainly a lot trickier than his question, because I nearly got confused with a hexagon instead of a heptagon.
Well, when the vote is tied, the strongest link gets to cast the deciding vote. And the strongest link was Abraham. Abraham, what do you do?
I'm an IT specialist.
And what does being an IT specialist involve?
It involves working with computers, and working with the software, and inside the computer itself.
And do you like your job as an IT specialist?
Yes. I like my job as an IT specialist. I was top of the class at computing at school, and I'm indeed very passionate about my job.
Alright. So Abraham, you voted for Mark, but you now have a choice. Obviously you can't vote for yourself, so that narrows it down. You can stick with Mark or change your mind and vote for either Nicole or Jeremy. Who do you want to send home with nothing?
I'm actually going to change my mind. I would like to change my vote to Jeremy.
Why?
Because he was one of the people who voted for me, and I wasn't near to being the weakest link, because I banked £1,000 for the team, and I feel as though he doesn't appreciate it. So Jeremy, it's payback time, and it's also time for you to go.
That's fair enough. Jeremy, who tried to get rid of the strongest link, and failed epically. With 3 votes you're the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm very angry that Abraham changed his vote of me, when he could have stuck with his original vote, and I really hope he doesn't win. Because if he's an IT specialist, he doesn't need the prize money, and he's just being extremely greedy.
Round 2. You have reached your target in the last round, so you have £1,000 in the bank. There are 8 of you left. We're cutting 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Abraham. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Abraham, in geography, Milan is a city in which European country?
Italy.
Correct, Nicole. Are snakes amphibians or reptiles?
Reptiles.
Correct, Barry. The clarinet is from which musical instrument family?
Woodwind.
Correct, Sarah. How many hours is equal to 300 minutes?
5.
Correct, Eddie. What's the name of the wooden puppet who nose grew every time he told a lie?
Pinocchio.
Correct, Mark. If someone can't sit still, they said to have what insects in their pants?
Bees.
Ants, Mark. Seamus, the book author Stephen King, is famous for writing books of which genre?
Horror.
Correct, Tracy. Who was the 44th President of the United States?
Obama.
Correct, Abraham.
Bank.
Which company known for making sportswear has its logo called the swoosh?
Nike.
Correct, Nicole. What fictional doctor uses a time machine called a TARDIS?
Doctor Who.
Correct, Barry. In which day of December is Boxing Day celebrated?
The 26th.
Correct, Sarah. In a hotel, what is a B&B?
Bed and breakfast.
Correct, Eddie. The flag of the UK is known as the Union what?
Jack.
Correct, Mark. In maths, what's 97 minus 15?
72.
Even 82. Seamus, in which parts of the face our retina is located?
The eyes.
Correct, Tracy. Neil Armstrong was the first man to walk on what?
Mars.
No, Tracy. The moon is the correct answer. Abraham, which band had a 1985 song called You Spin Me Around Like a Record?
Dead or alive.
Correct, Nicole. When inhaling helium, does it make someone's voice higher or lower?
Higher.
Correct, Barry. What creatures are the cartoon characters Donald and Daffy?
Ducks.
Correct, Sarah. Animals that only eat meat and flesh are called what?
Carnivores.
Correct, Eddie. What is the 20th letter of the English alphabet?
T.
Correct, Mark.
Bank.
In which year of the 2000s did Michael Jackson die?
2009.
Correct, Seamus. Lab is short for which word?
Laboratory.
Correct, Tracy. In the Second World War, which country did Germany invade in September? Time's up. I cannot complete the question. And you are already falling down the drain, team. After reaching your target in the last round, you banked a very disappointing £370. Who's not pulling their weight? Who's too stupid to stay here for the next round? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the second time in a row, Abraham is the strongest link. The weakest link is Mark again, because he got the most wrong answers, but he did bank £300 for the team. Will that save him from the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Mark.
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 Tracy.
Mark.
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 Seamus. What do you do?
I'm an entertainer.
What makes you entertaining?
I mainly tell jokes and also a comedic singer at parties. I'm also a DJ as well.
And how long have you been entertaining people?
For at least 50 years. Because since I was a child, I always liked to make people laugh, and I succeeded most of the time.
When you're not busy being entertaining at parties, what do you get up to in your spare time?
In my spare time, I like to watch movies, hang out at the pub with my friends and have a little drink.
I see. Do your friends find you funny and entertaining?
Yes, of course. I make them laugh all the time, and they like my singing.
So Seamus, why do you want to get rid of Mark the college student?
I voted for Mark, because he got 2 wrong, which is more than anyone else, and his questions were very simple, and he thinks someone who can't sit still has bees in their pants? You can't be serious. Either he said that on purpose, or he's just not very bright. and I'm going with my second thought.
Tracy, remind me what you do.
I'm a bank manager.
Do you like your job?
Yes, I don't mind my job, because it's well paid, and I get along with all the employees.
For a bank manager, would you say you have good general knowledge?
Sure, for a bank manager, I would say I know a lot of things.
That's not convincing, since you think that Neil Armstrong was the first man to walk on Mars, instead of the moon.
I knew it was the moon, it's just I was thinking Mars in my head, and I accidentally said Mars instead of the moon.
So hopefully you won't get any more wrong answers in your head and accidentally say them then?
Hopefully not, but I'm still very confident about the rest of the game.
So Tracy, why did you vote for Mark? Don't like him?
It's nothing personal, Mark seems like a nice guy, but he got 2 questions wrong, which is 1 more wrong than me, so he is the weakest link.
Did you know that he banked the most money for the team?
Actually no. I didn't know that he banked the most money in this round.
Well, you've certainly been paying attention. Not. But he was statistically the worst player in the round. Mark, the 21-year-old college student, who thinks someone who can't sit still has bees instead of ants in their pants, and can't answer a simple maths question correctly. It looks like everyone has certainly had enough of you, and it's time to go back to college. Unanimously with 7 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm very embarrassed with my performance in that round, and when I go back to the college, I'll never hear the end of it, especially the ants question. I think Tracy will be voted off next, because she seems very nervous, and she's not very intelligent.
Round 3. You have in the bank so far £1,370. There are 7 of you left. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Abraham. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Abraham, what's the title of the novel by Victor Hugo that's about a bell ringer called Quasimodo?
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Correct, Nicole. What nationality is the tennis player Boris Becker?
British.
Nope, German. Barry David Jason plays the character Del Boy in which British comedy series?
Only Fools and Horses.
Correct, Sarah. Complete the well-known phrase, actions speak louder than what?
Words.
Correct, Eddie.
Bank.
Which 1994 film based on the Stephen King novella stars Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman in a prison?
Pass.
The Shawshank Redemption. Seamus in music, what kind of flag did Dido sing about in 2003?
White Flag.
Correct, Tracy. Sitcom is short for what kind of comedy?
I have no idea.
Situation comedy. Abraham, how many hearts does an octopus have?
3.
Correct, Nicole. Which American state has Austin as its capital city?
Texas.
Correct, Barry. Most people who attend to Sunday school are associated to which religion?
Christianity.
Correct, Sarah. Which social media site would you post a tweet?
Twitter.
Correct, Eddie. What sport can you get a maximum score of 300 points?
Bowling.
Correct, Seamus.
Bank.
In fairy tales, what animal is known for being big and bad?
Wolf.
Correct, Tracy. Which famous British physicist wrote the book A Brief History of Time?
Albert Einstein.
No, the correct answer is Stephen Hawking, Tracy. Abraham, in politics, Tony Blair was the leader of which party?
Labour.
Correct, Nicole. A person who sells flowers has what job title?
Florist.
Correct, Barry. Which one of these is the name of a type of handgun? Arctic Fox or Desert Eagle?
Desert Eagle.
Correct, Sarah.
Bank.
In chemistry, which element is represented by the letters Zn?
Zinc.
Correct, Eddie. Which part of the body would you wear a fedora?
Head.
Correct, Seamus. Battleship is a shade of which color?
Gray.
Correct, Tracy.
Bank.
Time's up. Your bank was out of time. And you didn't do much better, team. You banked £450. Who do you desperately need to get rid of? Who has a special talent of being stupid? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In this round, Seamus is the strongest link, since he got all of his questions correct, and banked the most money for the team. Tracy is the weakest link, since she got no correct answers. But will the voting reflect reality?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Nicole.
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 Tracy.
Nicole.
Tracy.
Tracy.
Eddie. Remind me what you do.
I'm a chef.
And for how long have you been a chef?
I've been a professional chef for 39 years.
What are your special dishes that you cook?
My special dishes are beef Wellington, lamb stir fry, chicken Kiev, and sausage casserole. I have more specials than that, but these are the most requested and most popular.
I see. And when you're not busy cooking, what do you do in your spare time?
I have very little spare time, because I am always busy cooking, but I guess I just watch TV when I'm not busy.
Well, you certainly don't watch a lot of movies, since you've never heard of The Shawshank Redemption.
Actually, I have heard of The Shawshank Redemption, but I have never seen it, so I didn't know.
But it was extremely popular, that most people would have seen a little bit of it at least.
I guess I'm not a big fan of movies.
Not at all by the looks of it. So, Eddie, why Nicole?
I voted for Nicole, because she took far too long to answer her first question, and that's no good because we have a time limit. And she also got the question wrong, and it was quite simple.
Did you think she was the weakest link?
Yes.
Well, that's another thing you got wrong, Eddie. Because she wasn't the weakest link in this round. Sarah, did you say that you're a flight attendant?
Yep, I sure am.
And what does that involve?
It involves looking after the passengers on the plane. I make sure the passengers receive food and drink, and also looking after the pilots too.
And do you like your job as a flight attendant?
Yes, I love my job. I've been to so many places over the years while been on the planes.
What countries have you been to?
I've been to lots of countries, including Canada, Japan, United Arab Emirates, Russia, Sweden, and many more.
Did you do anything else before you became a flight attendant?
Nope, this is my first job, and I've been sticking with this job for 8 years, and hopefully for many more years to come.
Alright. So Sarah, why Nicole?
I voted for Nicole, because just like Eddie said, she did take a very long time to answer her first question, and we definitely can't afford long hesitation in the later rounds.
Did you think she was the weakest link?
No, I knew she wasn't the weakest link, but she wasted too much time, and I believe that's what stopped us from reaching our target.
You know, she isn't the only one who is stopping you from reaching your target. Tracy, did you think Nicole was the weakest link in this round?
No, I didn't think she was the weakest link.
Who do you think was the weakest link then?
I think it was me.
That's correct. You didn't answer a single question correctly in this round, but as you know, it's votes that count. Nicole, the 23-year-old college student who thinks Boris Becker is British instead of German. You took too long to answer that question, and the team has had enough of you because of that. It's time to go back to college. With 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
That was so unfair that I was voted off as the weakest link, when it was Tracy who was getting all of her questions wrong, and I only got one wrong. And I think Tracy will definitely be voted off next. because her performance has been dreadful throughout, and her general knowledge is rubbish.
Round 4. You have in the kitty 1,820 pounds out of a possible 3,000. You're down to 6 players. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. You now only have 2.5 minutes. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Seamus. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Seamus, which American soap opera asked the question who shot J.R.
Dallas.
Correct, Tracy. What safety feature in a car was introduced in the 1980s, the airbag or the seat belt?
Seat belt.
Correct, Abraham. Which UK city has an underground subway known as the Clockwork Orange?
Glasgow.
Correct, Barry.
Bang.
In measurements, 240 inches is equal to how many feet?
20.
Correct, Sarah. In which fast food restaurant would you order a Big Mac?
McDonald's.
Correct, Eddie. Which actor plays Thomas Magnum in the TV series Magnum P.I.?
Pass.
Tom Selleck. Seamus, which star sign of the zodiac is represented by fish?
Pisces.
Correct, Tracy. What test is another name for a brother or sister?
Sibling.
Correct, Abraham. What cartoon sailor has a girlfriend called Olive Oil?
Popeye.
Correct, Barry. Which sport would you associate the Six Nations?
Rugby.
Correct, Sarah. What is the name of the computer operating system by Microsoft?
Windows.
Correct, Eddie. If someone was a volcanologist, what would they be studying?
Vulcans?
No, Eddie. Volcanoes. Seamus, a pediatrician, is specialized on the health and well-being of what?
Babies.
I'll accept babies or children. Tracy, in geometry, what is the name of a triangle with 2 equal sides?
Pass.
Isosceles triangle. Abraham, in which decade of the 20th century was Disney's Snow White first released?
1930s.
Correct, Barry. In superstitions, spilling what condiment on the dinner table is considered to be bad luck?
Salt.
Correct, Sarah. Which English rock band had the songs Iron Man, War Pigs and Paranoia?
Is it Black Sabbath?
Correct, Eddie. In the nursery rhyme Jack be nimble, what did Jack jump over?
The candlestick.
Correct, Seamus. Which novel by Charles Dickens about a child orphan is also known as The Parish Boy's Progress?
Oliver Twist.
Correct, Tracy. Time's up. Couldn't be bothered to bank this time, Tracy? Well, because of that, you only banked an abysmal £100 in this round. Who do you think is absolutely useless? Who keeps letting you down and costing you lots of money? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
In this round, Seamus is the strongest link, since he got the most correct answers. The weakest link is Eddie, because he got the most wrong answers. But has the team noticed that?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Eddie.
Eddie.
Tracy.
Tracy.
Eddie.
Eddie.
Barry. Why have you voted for Eddie?
Because he had a very bad round. He got 2 questions wrong, which is more than anyone else, so he is the weakest link.
Alright. Abraham. Still looking confident?
I sure am, because so far I've got all of my questions right.
Are you expecting to answer all of your questions correctly in the entire game?
Well, people say I'm a very knowledgeable guy and I'm very good at quizzes, so yeah. But I'm not perfect, so I'm not guaranteeing anything.
We shall see. So, Abraham, why Eddie?
Because I knew he was the weakest link in this round, because he got the most questions wrong out of everyone else. And he thinks someone who studies volcanology studies volcans instead of volcanoes, which I thought was obvious.
Okay. And finally Tracy, who can't be bothered to bank. How well do you think you did in that round?
I think I did really well. I only got one question wrong, which was better than my previous performance.
Well, you certainly don't know much about geometry, since you don't know what an isosceles triangle is.
That's because I really hate maths and geometry. I found it extremely boring when I was at school. But I managed to pass math, and I wouldn't have got my job as a bank manager without it.
You must have only just passed your math then if that's the case.
I may have not got high marks, but still, the main thing is I at least passed it.
I suppose so. So Tracy, what has Eddie done to upset you?
Just like Barry and Abraham said, he got 2 questions wrong, which is 1 more wrong than me, so I think he was the worst player in the round.
He was indeed the worst player in the round. Eddie, the 60-year-old chef, who thinks someone who is a volcanologist studies volcans instead of volcanoes. You got 2 questions wrong, and they have had enough of you. It's now time for you to go back to being a chef. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm very disappointed to be voted off in this stage, because I thought I was doing well, and I would like to have gone further. I hope Abraham doesn't win, because he is far too overly confident, and he acts like he knows everything.
Round 5. After that far from impressive round team, you now have in the bank £1,920 out of a possible 4,000. 5 of you left. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Seamus. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Seamus, someone who is a Brummie, is from which English city?
Birmingham.
Correct, Tracy. What is the name of the virtual assistant on Apple products?
Pass.
Siri. Abraham, who directed the films Goodfellas, Taxi Driver and Raging Bull.
Martin Scorsese.
Correct, Barry. In soccer, which national team won the 2010 FIFA World Cup?
Spain.
Correct, Sarah. Which adult comedy cartoon is set in a fictional town in Rhode Island called Quahog?
Family Guy.
Correct, Seamus. Who originally hosted the 1980s TV game show Bullseye?
Jim Boyne.
Correct, Tracy. Which American civil rights... No, it's too late to bank, I'm not accepting it. Which American civil rights activist was assassinated on the 4th of April 1968?
Pass.
Martin Luther King. Abraham and the Animal Kingdom, what sea, is a name for a group of rhinoceroses?
Crash.
Correct, Barry. Which painter painted the 1931 painting The Persistence of Memory?
Is it Salvador Dali?
Correct, Sarah. In maths, what's 74 times 8?
588.
Nope, 592.
Right.
There's nothing to bank. Seamus, in science, what's the opposite of a conductor?
An insulator.
Correct, Tracy.
Bank.
In the Gregorian calendar, how many months have a maximum of 30 days?
7.
Nope, 4. Abraham in the Transformer cartoons, who is the arch-nemesis of Optimus Prime?
Megatron.
Correct, Barry. In the 1990s British sitcom Men Behaving Badly, which actor plays the character Gary Strang?
Martin Clunes.
Correct, Sarah.
Bank.
What is the 6th-letter nickname for a budgerigar?
Budgie.
Correct, Seamus.
Right.
In the Second World War, what kind of weapons were the little boy and the fat man?
Bronze.
Correct, Tracy.
Bank.
The television series Waterloo Road was set in what? Time's up. I cannot complete the question. And your performance is still dreadful, team. You only bank £110. Who do you need to abandon? Who do you think will be useless in the later rounds? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the third time in a row, Seamus is the strongest link, since he answered the most questions correctly and banked some money for the team. The weakest link is Tracy, since she didn't answer a single question correctly. But can she survive the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Tracy.
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 Sarah.
Tracy.
Seamus. Why have you voted for Tracy?
Because she didn't answer a single question correctly in this round, and she made us lose lots of money and time, when she banked too late.
Alright. Sarah. Why did you vote for Tracy? Have you had enough of her?
I don't have anything against her, but she was definitely the weakest link in this round, because just like Seamus said, she didn't get a single question correctly in this round. And she did waste a lot of time, which we cannot afford in this stage of the game.
Fair enough. And Abraham, the IT specialist. Why Tracy?
To be honest, I'm very surprised that she even made it this far, because she hasn't been very good in the game overall in my opinion, and she got all of her questions wrong in this round, which were easy by the way. It's now all over for her, and it's now finally time for her to go.
Indeed it is. Tracy. The 44-year-old bank manager. I am very astonished that you made it this far, with the very unimpressive amount of knowledge you have. Well, unanimously they have finally had enough of you, and it's now time for you to go back to being a bank manager. With 4 votes you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm very disappointed to be voted off in this round, but they were right. I didn't get any of my questions correct, and I deserve to be voted off. I really hope Abraham gets voted off next, because he's extremely cocky, and overall not a very nice person.
Round 6. Out of the £5,000 you could have won by now, you only have in the bank £2,030. 4 of you left. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Seamus again. Let's play. The weakest link. Start the clock. Seamus, which actor played the king in the 1956 musical film The King and I?
Yul Brynner.
Correct, Abraham. In 2000, Craig Phillips was the first ever winner on which reality TV show?
Big Brother.
Correct, Barry. Who was the Prime Minister of the UK in 1937 to 1940?
Winston Churchill.
Nope, Neville Chamberlain. Sarah, in classical music, Mozart's Last Symphony No. 41 is named after which planet?
Saturn.
Nope, Jupiter. Seamus, what is the name of the sheep that was successfully cloned in Scotland?
Dolly.
Correct, Abraham. Who presented the British television comedy talk show Shut That Door?
Larry Grayson.
Correct, Barry. Which song by Wham is the jitterbug dance frequently mentioned?
Wake me up before you go.
Correct, Sarah.
Bang.
In which century did the American Civil War begin?
18th.
Nope, 19th. Seamus, in Greek mythology, who ignored his father's instructions and flew too close to the sun?
Eagles.
Correct, Abraham.
Bang.
In which European capital city is the NATO headquarters located?
Brussels.
Correct, Barry. In fashion, Mary Quant invented what kind of skirt in the 1960s?
The miniskirt.
Correct, Sarah. What's the name of the killer doll in the 1988 horror film Child's Play?
Chucky.
Correct, Seamus.
Bang.
How many years of marriage is a pearl wedding anniversary celebrated?
30 years?
Correct, Abraham.
Bang.
In spelling, the word accessibility has how many S's?
2.
Correct, Barry. Which 1974 novel by Peter Benchley is about the town terrorized by a shark?
Jaws.
Correct, Sarah.
Bang.
Which Asian country is known as the land of the rising sun?
Japan.
Correct, Seamus.
Bank.
Time's up. Your bank was only just out of time. And the amount of money you're banking is still unimpressive, team. You only banked £290. Who is struggling to cope? Who is the next person in the studio who will leave with nothing? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the fourth time in a row, Seamus is the strongest link, since he got all of his questions correct and banked some money for the team. The weakest link is Sarah, since she got the most questions wrong, but she did bank the most money for the team. Will the team consider that?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Seamus.
Seamus.
Barry.
Sarah.
Barry. Why have you voted for Seamus? Did you think he was the weakest link?
No, but I believe that he was very hesitant in this round, and he was taking way too long to answer his questions.
And you definitely wasn't. You are extremely quick, right?
Well, maybe I wasn't exactly quick, but I'm very confident to say that I was definitely quicker than him in this round.
Is that so? Well, would it surprise you that he actually got all of his questions correct in this round, when you, on the other hand, got one wrong?
Yeah, but that question was a little tricky. I got the two prime ministers mixed up. But at least I'm not wasting much time, since I am a lot less hesitant.
I'm not convinced one bit. Sarah, how good do you think your performance was in that round?
My performance wasn't very good.
It was very far from good, Sarah. Because you were the worst player in the round.
I know, I'm very embarrassed that I got 2 questions wrong, and being the weakest link. But I did bank a lot of money in this round.
That's true, I suppose. So Sarah, why Seamus?
Well, I knew I was the worst player in the round, but I can't vote for myself, so I voted for Seamus, because I agree with Barry, he was too hesitant, and he was taking too long to answer his questions.
Well, he was far from being the worst player in the round, because he was indeed the strongest link. But unfortunately, it's votes that count. Seamus, you did really well in the game today. You didn't get any questions wrong in the whole game, and you were the strongest link 4 times in a row. But I'm afraid Barry and Sarah think that you're too hesitant apparently, and they don't want you here anymore. I'm very sorry to say this, Seamus, but you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm furious that I got voted off. I wasn't even close to being the weakest link. I got all of my questions right in the whole game, and their excuse for voting me off is absolutely pathetic. Barry was being extremely hypocritical for saying that I was hesitant, when he took a long time to answer his questions, and I hope he gets voted off next.
Round 7. You have in the bank £2,320 out of a possible 6,000. There are now only 3 of you left. And we still have Barry the bus mechanic, Sarah the flight attendant, and Abraham the IT specialist. We're cutting another 10 seconds from the time. Barry and Sarah have voted off the strongest link in the last round, so we'll start with the second strongest. And that's Abraham. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Abraham, the character Professor Gaffel, is from which 1970s children's TV program?
Backbus.
Correct, Barry. Which Scottish singer had a hit song in 2018 called Leave a Light On?
Ed Sheeran.
Nope, Tom Walker. Sarah, what vitamin is also known as ascorbic acid?
Vitamin C.
Correct, Abraham. In which 1949 book by George Orwell has the main character Winston Smith?
1984.
Correct, Barry. In video games, the Mega Drive, the Saturn, and the Dreamcast are consoles made by which Japanese company?
Atari.
Nope, Sega. Sarah, which Queen of England was born on the 7th of September 1533?
Elizabeth I.
Correct, Abraham.
Bank.
In geography, Sydney is the capital of which state in Australia?
New South Wales.
Correct, Barry.
Bang.
How many megabytes are in 4,000 kilobytes?
400.
No, Barry. 4. Sarah, in the game of Tiddlywinks, what's the name of the small discs that the players try to get in the center?
Winks.
Correct, Abraham. In electronics, what does AC and DC stand for?
Alternating current and direct current.
Correct, Barry.
Bang.
Which character is played by Nigel Havers in the soap opera Coronation Street?
I have absolutely no idea.
Louis Archer. Sarah, who is the author of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid children's book series?
Is it Jeff Kinney?
Correct, Abraham.
Bank.
Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. is the real name of which American boxer?
Muhammad Ali.
Correct, Barry.
Bang.
In the 2012 film Life of Pi, what big cat was lost at sea with the main character?
Tiger.
Correct, Sarah.
Bang.
In science, what's the... Time's up. So, after getting rid of 6, supposedly, of course, weaker links, you are still banking a very low amount of money. You only banked a pathetic £150. Now in round 8 you get the chance to treble what you bank, so potentially, there's £3,000 to be won. But who will not help you raise the bank balance? Who do you think has definitely outstayed their welcome and should not go with you into the final? However, the real question is, do you have the bravery and decency to vote off the weakest link?
In this crucial stage of the game, Abraham is the strongest link for the 3rd time in the game, with only 1 correct answer. Barry is the weakest link. But who will lose out in the final vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Abraham.
Barry.
Barry.
Sarah. Why have you voted for Barry?
Because he completely fell apart in this round. He got 4 questions wrong, while me and Abraham got all of ours correct, so he was definitely the worst player in the round, and I think it's time for Barry to go.
Fair enough. And Abraham. Why Barry?
Because I absolutely agree with Sarah. He has fallen apart in this round, and most of the questions that he got wrong were actually pretty easy. I would also like to add that it's karma for attempting to vote me off as the weakest link when I'm not. I guess that's what he gets for voting tactically.
I guess so. Barry, the 40-year-old bus mechanic. You have certainly fallen apart in this round. You got most of your questions wrong, while Sarah and Abraham got all of theirs correct, and they have both had enough of you. It's time to go back to fixing buses. You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm extremely disappointed to make it all the way to the final 3, only just to screw everything up. I gotta say that I am very surprised that Sarah voted fairly, because I thought she would vote Abraham tactically, but I guess not. Abraham will definitely win, because that guy literally seems to know everything.
Round 8. Out of the £7,000 you could have won by now, you only have in the bank £2,470. Sarah and Abraham, just the 2 of you left. You now only have 90 seconds, but whatever you win will be trebled and added to your total winnings of the previous rounds, so there's £3,000 at stake. We'll start with the strongest link in the last round. And that's Abraham. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Abraham Dark Mine is a tourist attraction in which English county?
Cornwall.
Correct, Sarah.
Bang.
Which song by the Backstreet Boys was the music video set in an airport?
I don't know.
I Want It That Way. Abraham, which 1979 film stars Sigourney Weaver and Tom Skerritt?
Alien.
Correct, Sarah.
Bang.
In history, what sport did British and German soldiers play during the Christmas Day truce in 1914?
Soccer?
Correct, Abraham. In food, which herb's name is derived from the Greek for king?
Is it basil?
Correct, Sarah. In the Pixar film series Toy Story, which of the main characters is voiced by John Ratzenberger?
The piggy bank.
His name is Ham, but I'll accept piggy bank. Abraham, what kind of license was first introduced in the UK on June 1st, 1946?
Television license.
Correct, Sarah.
Bank.
Adrian Edmondson plays the character Vivian in which 1980s British sitcom?
Pass.
The Young Ones. Abraham in the Agatha Christie novel Murder on the Orient Express features what detective?
Hercule Poirot.
Correct, Sarah.
Bang.
In chemistry, what two letters represent sodium?
S-O.
No pen A. Abraham with blasting explosive was patented in 1867 by Alfred Nobel.
Dynamite.
Correct, Sarah.
Bank.
Time's up. Your bank was just out of time. And you banked £260. We'll treble that and add it to the total winnings of today. So that makes the total prize money of today of £3,250, but only one of you can take that money away. They'll now play against each other head-to-head, a last call, alternating questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It's as simple as that. If there's a tie after 5, we'll go to sudden death until we have a winner. So Sarah and Abraham, for £3,250. Let's play the weakest link. Abraham, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice to who goes first.
I'll go first.
Abraham, what's the name of the album by the English electronic band The Prodigy was released on the 30th of June, 1997?
The Fat of the Land.
That's the correct answer. Sarah, in sport, what is the real first name of the famous American golfer Tiger Woods?
Eldrick.
That's the correct answer. Abraham, which member of the American TV show Jackass died in a car crash in 2011?
Ryan Dunn.
That's the correct answer. Sarah, in which Spanish city was the 1992 Summer Olympic Games hosted?
Madrid.
The correct answer is Barcelona. Abraham, which novel by Jane Austen features the characters Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth Bennet, and Charles Bingley?
Pride and Prejudice.
That's the correct answer. Sarah, which 1980s British sitcom has the theme song What'll I Do and stars Linda Robson and Pauline Quirk?
Pass. I don't know.
The correct answer is Birds of a Feather. Abraham, if you answer this question correctly, you have one. So for £3,250, the second U.S. President, John Adams, was born in which state?
Massachusetts.
That's the correct answer. That means, Abraham, you are today's strongest link and you go away with £3,250. Sarah, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link. Goodbye.
I am very pleased to have won the weakest link, and I'm very proud of myself to have not got a single question wrong in the whole game.
I didn't stand a chance against him. He's a very good player, and he has an incredible amount of knowledge.
I give credit to Sarah for being brave and not voting me off tactically. But at the end of the day, I'm the best player and I won fair and square.